Hello and welcome to RaceGOW3. I'm the creator and host, Dan Sugano, aka FPV Skittles, and you might be saying, RaceGOW3? Didn't we just finish RaceGOW2? Shouldn't iGOW be next? And typically you'd be right, but let's do a quick history lesson here. Originally in iGOW Season 1 and 2, the mini UTTs that have become RaceGOW were a part of the iGOW competition, and a lot of the freestylers complained, oh, you shouldn't have racing in a freestyle competition, which is a valid point. So I think starting in iGOW3, we separated the mini UTTs out, and that became RaceGOW. So the first RaceGOW was leading up to what we typically consider the whoop season. That's like January, February, March, April, when most of local clubs have their whoop races, and also when the major travel races are, like Utopia in January, Air Force Race February, Northeast Whoops Champs in March, and then Tiny Whoop Open in April. So for RaceGOW2, I thought maybe it would be cool if we could have RaceGOW during the whoop season, but that didn't work out as well at all. It kind of just was a lot harder to do everything at the same time. So for RaceGOW3, I'm going back to the original RaceGOW schedule, which is leading up to Utopia. RaceGOW3 is going to have 8 tracks. It's going to start mid-September, so coming up here in less than a month. And then iGOW5 will start after the 2025 whoop season, so around April, May 2025. Anyway, let's get into what we're going to talk about today, and that is the RaceGOW3 track building contest. So for RaceGOW3, we're going to have almost all new track builders. People that have never built a track for RaceGOW before, and with that spirit I thought it'd be cool to hold a contest and let anyone submit a track, and then we'll choose one, and the best track will be an actual part of RaceGOW3. So I think it'll be like the 4th overall track. Anyway, the deadline for this competition is going to be November 1st, so you have quite a bit of time to submit the track. It'll even be going during the first 3 tracks of the actual RaceGOW season, so you can kind of get an idea of what the tracks are going to be like. And you should probably look back at the previous tracks. If it's something too similar to a track we've done before, probably not going to get accepted. It's got to be unique in some way, and also interesting and fun to fly. Other than that, it has to follow some basic rules. All the rules from RaceGOW2 are carrying over to RaceGOW3. Almost everything is identical, like the stuff you need to build the tracks, flying 3 laps. There are going to be a few differences though, and we'll go over those 3 main differences right now. The first is that the footprint for the track is going to be a 4 foot wide by 6 foot long rectangle. In RaceGOW3 it was a 6x6 square, and when we used the whole thing, that kind of got pretty big for some people's houses. So this was kind of an ideal shape. You could turn it sideways if you want, if that fits better or whatever. But 4x6 rectangle is the max footprint you're going to be using for RaceGOW3. And then also, we didn't have a limit, an official limit in RaceGOW2, but for RaceGOW3 it's going to be 3 gates high. So if you're using the minimum size gates, 24 inches, that would be a triple stack gate. Okay, and the final one is that we kind of had a weird range of allowable gates in RaceGOW3, and I'm gonna simplify that and do away with most of it for RaceGOW3. And there's the minimum gate size, which is 24 inches center line to center line, and that's what I'm going to be referring to whenever I'm talking about any gate sizes. And but there is no maximum gate size. You can make your gates as big as you want. You just have to scale up the entire track by that amount. So all your gates have to be the same size, first of all. But if you want to use iGOW size gates, which are 28 inches, then your footprint is just going to be a little bigger. Instead of 2 feet wide, it would be 2 feet 8, and then 6 feet, you'd add another by 7. So it'd be 2 feet 8 by 7 feet deep if you're using iGOW size gates. So then if you wanted to compete in the open class, which is any size whoop, you could technically build outside with full 5-inch gates. You just have to scale up the entire track and all the spaces and everything equally based on how much bigger your gates are than the minimum. So those are the new rules for RaceGOW 3. Obviously you have to follow all those, and your track has to be created with the same set of pieces that was from RaceGOW 2. That is 20 sections of PVC maximum. Remember, you don't need a section along the ground for gates anymore. The ground can count as the bottom. And then along with the 20 sections of PVC, it has to be able to be made with the following connectors: 4 5-ways, 2 4-ways, 6 T's, and 4 elbows. And the last thing you want to take into consideration is think about how you would place an RF timer when you're building your track. So like basically if you're going to have your start gate and you want to put the RF timer on it in some way, don't use that gate again in the middle of your track somewhere because that would make the RF timing much more difficult. Anyway, yeah, so the more creative the better, but we don't want the laps to be too long. Remember, the RaceGOW goes 3 laps total, and on average you want your laps to be somewhere in the 5 to 10 second range for the average pilot. Alright, so that's about all for this video. Keep a lookout for more information about RaceGOW 3. Registration is going to be opening soon, and join the Discord if you haven't already. Oh, and if you're interested in being a sponsor of RaceGOW 3, just contact me. You can send an email to igowwhoop@gmail.com, or you can just message me on any social media. Alright everyone, good luck and happy whooping!